There is a universal crisis inside society today that seeks to overturn all things Christian. The father and founder of the Heralds of the Gospel, Dr. Plinio Corrêa de Oliveira, called this universal crisis the revolution. He held that the two driving forces of this revolution are the vices of pride and sensuality. The following commentaries show how St. John the Baptist is a model for the apostles of the latter times, and for those who wish to oppose this revolution today, especially combating its two central vices. It would be interesting to analyze the aspects of St. John the Baptist's life that characterized him as a perfect apostle of the last times, as described by St. Louis de Montfort. Not because his times were the last times, but because they were the last times of that era. St. John the Baptist was the person sent by God to lay straight the way for the Lord, to prepare for the coming of Jesus Christ, to act in the last times before the Messiah. The parallel between the time of Christ and the last times is very clear in the Gospel, when our Lord spoke about the fall of the Temple of Jerusalem from two different perspectives. First, he spoke about the material destruction of the Temple of Jerusalem, a prophecy that was fulfilled historically by Titus in the year 70. He also spoke of the destruction of the temple from a symbolic perspective, referring to the end of the world, of which the temple was a symbol. There are two destructions of the temple, two comings of our Lord, two men sent by God to prepare the way of the Lord. The first, St. John the Baptist, and the last will be Elias, the prophet. These two men are the models, the paradigms, and the prototypes of the apostles of the last times. St. John the Baptist was a prophet who pictured the moral situation of his time as extremely bad. He did not fear to tell the truth to the Pharisees and the scribes. He was not afraid to censure the Jewish people for the moral decadence into which they had fallen. He did not tremble to spell out to Herod the evil he had done. He told Herod straight to his face, "It is not lawful for you to take your brother's wife as a wife." Thus, Herod lived in adultery with this woman. By denouncing him, St. John the Baptist paid with his death. He who trampled upon pride and impurity was also a magnificent model of fearlessness. He feared not even the death of a beheading that he eventually suffered. Some might say that by ending up dead, he failed in his mission. St. Augustine answers this question by imagining the magnificent scene in which the head of St. John the Baptist is brought to Herod. The tyrant looks into those closed eyes. St. Augustine observes that never had a human gaze penetrated so deeply into Herod's eyes as the gaze of those closed and dead eyes. The humility of St. John was rewarded. After his martyrdom, his name was covered with glory. Our Lord said that no man born from a woman was greater than he. It is impossible to have a higher praise or more honorable glorification. But this glory had its foundation in his most profound humility. Let us therefore venerate St. John the Baptist as a model of the apostles of the last times and as a man of combat against sin. Let us ask him to grant us the graces to fulfill our Catholic vocation according to the will of God.